Bonjour. Hello and welcome to my home here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I would have liked to have been with you today. Unfortunately, as you well know, the Canada-USA border has been closed to non-essential travel since March 2020. Also, currently, the province of Ontario is in a lockdown and stay-at-home order, and we have been since December 26th, 2020. So I am forced to be with you via video. Just wanted to acknowledge, for those of you watching from Toronto, the flowers around me are compliments of the School of Hospitality and Tourism at Seneca College, where I'm a professor. I also want to thank the Avery United Methodist Church for all of their support over the past few months and during when my mother had COVID. It was very difficult because, of course, visitors were not permitted in the nursing home. So my mother loved Avery United Methodist Church. My mother actually drove until she was around 90 years old. And I remember we were chatting on the phone one Sunday evening, as we often did, and she was telling me that she drove the carpool to church. And I said, "What do you mean you drive the carpool?" And she was right around 90 years old at the time. And she says, "Well, I have to pick up the old ladies and take them to church." So I said, "Mother, just how old are these old ladies?" And she said, "Well, one lady's in her 60s. To which I immediately replied, "Mother, I'm in my 60s. She never did quite answer that one. My mother was a product of the Depression. She knew how to save. She knew how to make do. And one of my favorite things is I remember very well when the price of coffee went up that she said, "We can reuse the grounds twice. We're not throwing them out." And she put fresh grounds in the coffee maker in the morning, and they got reused for dinner that night. And when the price of coffee filters went up, she discovered the paper towels worked just fine. One of my favorite times was I was helping do Christmas dinner one time, and I didn't realize that she did this. And I threw the coffee grounds out getting dinner ready. And my poor mother just didn't know what to do. How could I have thrown the coffee grounds out? They had more life in them. But she knew how to save. When I immigrated to Canada back in 1993, my parents wanted to come up and see the house that I had purchased. So I says, "Great, why don't you come up for Thanksgiving?" And they said, "Well, we wanted to come up before that." And what I realized is they didn't realize that in Canada we celebrate Thanksgiving the second Monday of October, not in November. So they packed up the car and they came to visit me here in my home for Canadian Thanksgiving. When they arrived, I went out to the driveway and the car was packed. And they were handing me things to unload the car. And my mother took a turkey out of the car, a big turkey. And she said, "We weren't sure if you could get this here." Like, "Okay, it's Canada, Mother." "Yes, we do." But then she handed me another package, and it was a very large package of toilet paper. And she said, I wasn't sure if you could get this here, and we wanted to make sure that we had our brand. The kitchen was not my mother's forte, shall we say. My mother's stove only had two settings. It had off and high. And she used high all the time. I remember very well driving home one time during the summer. And I said, I'll be home for dinner, but I don't know what time, so keep it really, really simple. Throw some burgers on the grill or something. And I pulled in the driveway and I saw the grill just blazing away. And I thought, what? She got on the grill. So I noticed that there were burgers on the grill. And she said, oh, I think they're about done. I put them on about 45 minutes ago. Oh, mother, they're done. But that was my mother. So I decided that for that Christmas, I would cook. So I called her up and I said, hey, why don't I do the cooking at Christmas for you? And she says, well, if you really want to. And she says, well, send me a list of what you need. So I made a menu. And I sent her the list of everything that I wanted her to have or get. And I probably sent her into the nether regions of the giant eagle to find things she had no clue what I was asking for. But she found them. And we had a very nice dinner. I probably wasn't the easiest son to raise. I was really quite different. I wanted the big city life, and I got itchy. So I moved out, and I got an airline job, and I started traveling the world. And one of the things that I did get to do during the airline job was I got to take my folks on some trips, which was great fun. I'm not sure my parents totally understood everything I did with the airline because I got promotions and I moved into management. I know they did not completely understand the fact that one day I said, I'm gay and I have a boyfriend. Took a little while for Mother to come around to it. I'm not sure that she ever totally came around, but she accepted it, at least to me, to which meant a lot to me. One of the things that my father did, and he learned it from his mother, who lived next door. My father used to sit in his chair in the living room, and he would look out the window every time he heard a car. And who's the car going by? What's happening outside the window? And when you live out in the country, at the time we did, there weren't a heck of a lot of cars that went up and down. But he knew who was going up and down. So my father passed 7.5 years ago. And I figure that my father has been at the pearly gates, looking out the window, waiting for my mother to arrive. And last Wednesday, when he saw her coming, I can just imagine that he went running over to whoever was opening the pearly gates and said, I got this one. And he took my mother's hand and he welcomed her in and said, let me show you around up here. And they're back together now. Thank you. Merci.